putting in my outlets today. So I'm going to be stripping the ends of the wires and putting the curl on it so I can screw it onto the each of the outlets, and grounding out my boxes and the outlets and all that good stuff. So I'm just going to kind of take my time doing it, trying to do clean work. This is just going to be behind the scenes. I'll probably only show maybe like this one outlet and just kind of stripping the outlets, the wiring on my main electrical box. So when I'm done, I can just hook it up and make it live. So other than that, just enjoy the show. I'm going to be filming a little bit different today with my GoPro, to try to do some longer format videos that are real easy to edit down. So just kind of, I guess watch and learn or whatever. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to be filming time lapses, and then in between time lapses, I'll do short little videos on explaining what I'm doing at each little step. And that way I can just put those together chronologically in my editing tool without really having to do any editing at all. It's just putting all the footage together. So that's what I'm going to do here. So you'll hear me kind of repeat myself a little bit, but so I'm going to start with this electrical box. I'm just going to strip these wires out so that they're ready to be twisted onto the live wire. So that actually power comes from the circuit. So that's what you're going to see me do here. If you're watching on the live feed, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Help me get to 1,000 subscribers and try to get this, go ahead and get this channel monetized. So I'm going to try filming an up close shot of this. Get my kneeling pad. Yeah, if you're watching, make sure to throw a comment down in the comment section. Let me know where you're watching from. Just curious what parts of the country or the world you're from. When I'm stripping these wires, depending on how you connect them to your outlet is how much copper you need to expose. And I'm going to be putting a bend on the end. So I usually do about an inch. Probably I would call it about a pinky and a half width is what I usually do. So I'll bend these wires in a way where when I'm doing my tool, I'm not hitting these wires. Because my tool, I have to spin it and then do that a couple times. And I'll usually put the ground wire in the box first because it's easiest to get to. And these boxes did not come with it didn't come with grounding screws, so I had to get the right size. They make them in like 3 different common sizes for depending on what you're grounding out. And I've already cut all these wires to where they're roughly the length that they need to be, where there's not too much wire in the box, but you're not putting dealing with this short wire. It's always kind of annoying. So, and most tools come with a hole you can use for bending, and so you just want to bend it the correct way so that when you're twisting on the when you're twisting the screw down onto the wire, it actually curls up the wire more and doesn't try to uncurl it. It gives you a much better connection. And I think that's actually required in code, but so you always have to kind of think about it a little bit. So like this one, I'm going to ground out to the box, and then this one I'm going to ground out to the outlet. And then the outlet I'll pull off these plastic deals so I get maximum contact between the screw and the plug body, and then the plug body directly on here. So it's got multiple points of solid ground contact, and then so that will ground out the box will be grounded out through here, and then from here into the box, and the box into the outlet, and then this will be grounded out to the outlet, and then that will actually travel out through to the next grounding wire through that whole grounding connection there. There's other ways you think you can do that, where you can have actually add a grounding pigtail. So it's like a third wire in here, but that's really unnecessary on this setup because the whole system is ground out on itself. All right, so if you're watching, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button to help me get to 1,000 subscribers. Appreciate y'all joining the call. If you have questions about what I'm doing, feel free to drop them in the comment section so I can answer those if you can't tell what I'm doing. But I'm just going to do this one outlet, and then I've got several other here in the shed that I need to do. And it's just kind of a behind the scenes that I've been doing as I film for my regular videos, and those will be edited down a little bit more concisely, less thought talking and more project talking. So I'm going to do this wire like this. So I'll just usually put a U-shaped turn in there, and then I can actually go in, bend this wire accordingly. I always try to orient it to where it goes. Wires that go towards the back of the box or at the back of the wiring there, so they're completely out of the way, and you're not end up with all these wires that are just bound up on each other. Hey there, Philip. I like that 6-7 comment. I guess that's in reference to that TikTok or whatever it was that was going around. Kids are always saying it. They just think it's the funniest thing. So I'm putting my grounding screw in now. And I always make sure to get good positive contact, upward contact on that wire, so that I can really get it seated up in there. Underneath the screw head. This is that 100-year-old screwdriver I found the other day in the house, in a different part of the house that I was demoing. So I believe that there's probably a code on the torque that you have to put on these screw heads. I think generally speaking, you probably end up actually over torquing things like this by hand. And by over torquing, it's not necessarily bad, it's just unnecessary tightness. So now I'm just going to make sure that all of my screws that are on this side of the outlet, that I put the proper curve on the wires that go on that side. So this one will go on top, that one will go in the middle, this will go on the bottom here, and then that one will go on the bottom, that one will go on the top. And I usually work from the bottom up on each side. It's just easier to get to. So this screw will be spinning that way. To me, it's clockwise. I think to you it will be reversed, so it'll show counterclockwise on the way the video feed comes in. So because that, we'll curl this wire down and backwards so that the screws will go in the proper way. So you have to do this, and you put it in the hole that that wire fits in. I'll bring it into my finger, and then I'll just start twisting it. And it puts a nice little bend in it. Same thing here. So if you're watching, thanks for joining the live. These are just going to be the behind the scenes shots of whatever I'm doing. And then I'll be also filming for my regular edits still. So you'll get to kind of see that kind of stuff and how I do it. So now I'm going to do the wires on the other side. This is actually the hot side. They get peeled up. So they go the opposite way because of the way the screws will turn on the other side of the outlet. Now try to get that pretty tight, a tight bend in that, so that it gets up underneath the screw head pretty good. Oh. All right, so let's do the grounding screw first. Oh, and before I do that, I always break off the tabs because they get in the way of the outlet cover later. So I'll break those off now, and then I'll pull off the little blue bolt keeper, screw keeper, so that way I get maximum contact on the outlet for the grounding of everything. So I'll pull the screw off and out of the way. I can do that. So I'm going to pause this time lapse. I'm going to time lapse this here. Actually, I'm going to do a little quick video. All right, everybody. So what I just did here was I got my wires bent so that they will, when I'm tightening these bolts down, it'll curl in the wire and tighten and coil the wire tighter instead of looser. So I got all those bent the proper way where they line up there. So next what I'm going to do is actually film a time lapse of me breaking the tabs off. This little upper section, there's pre-scored lines. I'll break that off, and I'll pull the little blue keeper off the bolt here so that I can get maximum grounding between the outlet and the outlet box and all the grounding wires. So if you're enjoying the video, make sure to hit the subscribe button, like, share, and subscribe the video out. I'm just always doing this kind of stuff in the shed, and then remodeling the house and doing outside stuff. So enjoy the rest of the video. So, got any viewers on the live feed here? Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Trying to get to the 1,000 subscriber mark. Or if you're watching this live video or highlight later, same thing. Hit that like and subscribe button. Been trying to just kind of do different systems of filming, different systems of as far as like what I'm filming, how I'm doing it. Because I mean, I'm always kind of doing something. And so if I were like literally filming everything all the time, it would just be too much. Even if I were paying somebody to edit my videos, it would be way too much to like keep up with and organize. And ideally, I would like to just get on one project and just work it, and be done with it. But it's not really feasible for what I'm actually doing out here. And sometimes stuff comes up and you have to deal with it. Problems are just like seasonal things. Like we're about to start our garden back up. So that's another deal. All right, so now I've got that outlet ready to install wires to it. And then I'll be able to screw it to the box and then put an outlet cover on it. Oh, this is the part where get a little bit hard. So that's good. I always just put pull back on it a little bit while I'm again putting that pressure on the wire so that it cinches down on around the back side of the head of the screw. And I'm using a Phillips, but that wire, it'll curl that wire around just a little bit. You just have to be careful when you do this because if that screwdriver slips off, you end up stabbing your hand. That's not fun. So this is the cleanest way to do wiring for plugs. And if you were to ever want to do like another branch circuit or run another line off from here, you'd really need a bigger box. And you would have to cut a line and mount it on here. Mount your hot line that's coming in from your main circuit, your main lead, main run, and then basically putting a pigtail on here, and then you would attach. So you'd have your hot line, then you'd have a pigtail for the hot line, which would be another hot line there. Neutral from your main run, neutral pigtail, and then you can come in and run your separate line and run them in here from a third knockout, and then screw those on, screw into your pigtails off into this line. So you'd have 3 wires on a screw nut there. But this is not a big enough box for something like that. So I'm gonna finish this up, and then the hard part about getting this is trying to cleanly. I haven't quite figured out. I think things stopped recording. I haven't figured out a good way. I'm sure there's a nice little methodology on how to bend your wires. where they fit in the outlet box nice and neat. I've seen it. I can't quite figure out the right orientation of doing that personally. I don't know if it's because I use different size outlet boxes or my wire length isn't consistent. Wire length. Ow, son of a gun. Oh. Good, nice, positive contact, strong contact. So I feel like they need to go all the way down and then bend it up. And then another bend here. And that way when I push it in, they collapse in on themselves. And I still have enough room. For my wires to push in. There we go. So, yeah, it's crazy. You really need a bigger box if you put any more wires in here because it just gets too congested. So again, I've got my box ground off. And then I've got my outlet itself with a ground wire on it. And then the outlet is ground out through the connections to the box. And then the ground is continued through down the run from the main grounding wire attached to the outlet. So I'm not a licensed electrician or anything like that. So if I'm doing something wrong, at least per the code for maybe your local code or whatever, I mean, I'm always open to suggestions. Man, I cut myself a second ago. And that copper wire that was barely sticking out from that ground. But yeah, just drop it in the comments. I mean, I'm always open to learning or just at least doing something a different way. But that's freaking solid, man. That looks good. And then I'll get my plate cover. And I always like if it has writing on it, I like it to be straight. That's nice. I mean, it looks clean. It may not be 100% code, and I actually don't have to do I don't have to do inspections on where I live or anything, since we're not like we're not subject to any like city stuff or nothing. We live outside the city limits, so you don't have any county codes or none of that junk. So I don't have to really worry about that kind of stuff. But appreciate y'all watching. If you're watching, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Help us get to 1,000 subscribers. Yeah, just drop it in the comments if there's a different way you would do it or a different way you have done it, and it may be better. It might be something I'll apply in a different way. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to do that multiple more times, and then I'm also going to, at the end of my run, I'm gonna end the run, and I'm gonna put a weatherproof metal junction box on the outside of the shed. I'm gonna drill a hole. I'll probably only need to drill about a 1-inch hole, and then I need to go buy it, but I need to go buy another connector like what I used here to terminate into this and properly hold my Romex and keep my grounding and everything. And then I'm going to install this right here on the outside of the shed. So it's a Blink wired floodlight camera, and that way I have I was going to put a floodlight up, And I got this on sale, and it was basically the same price as just a floodlight. And I was like, well, I might as well get a camera out of it, and I can just add it to my current wireless or more like motion activated internet based system. It's not my only system, but that'll be the system that I'm gonna add to supplement what I got going on. So before I end the live, I'm gonna do a quick outro on what I just did, so that way I can have a more long format video for my channel for what I'm doing in addition to my normal highlight videos. GoPro video mode. All right, so I just wrapped up buttoning up this outlet. So it stopped video in part of the way through the time lapse, but it was fairly repetitive. I just screwed all of my wires into the outlet and then bent the wires in a way where I was able to get them in and they would collapse upon themselves. And then this outlet would be in the proper orientation to easily line up with the screw holes. So it would be straight and it wouldn't be kind of turned one way or the other. And then once I screwed that to the dill, I put my outlet cover on, and makes for a nice clean job here. So this whole, anything metal is all grounded out. So I've got a fully ground out system to this point, and I'm going to continue down this run and do the rest of my outlets. So I might time lapse the rest of that, but otherwise, if I don't, if you've enjoyed this video and you found value out of it, love for you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel to see more stuff like this. And if you have any questions about anything, make sure to drop them in the comment section. But other than that, until next time, appreciate y'all. Bigfoot out. That's pretty much it. Behind the scenes live. Again, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Help us get to 1,000 subscribers, and just continue to grow the channel and grow the content. I've enjoyed the time together. Until next time, Bigfoot out.